Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
It's a miracle that Israel is still in existence in this part of the world. It's a very, very tough neighborhood.
Pick up your Bible, come to Israel, see these places that Jesus walked and King David walked. It'll change your life forever. It'll make the Bible come alive for you. And it's going to get you stronger in your faith. We have to support the nation of Israel, biblical Israel. We're live. Welcome to His Glory, from east to west to north to south to take 5. It's a little chaos today. You see I got some mics on. We're having audio troubles. You saw that we were having that problem with Julie Green, but we'll get that fixed, and it feels funny. It feels funny having these mics on. All right, before we bring in Bo and Andrew, that's why we're running a little bit late. We apologize. I'm gonna be on with Mickey Willis on Twitter Spaces tonight to talk about our Holy Land movie, and also there's only a few rooms left for our VIP tour to Israel. So that's coming up November 30th to December 8th. General Flynn will be with us in Israel. Jimmy Levy will be with us as well. Jimmy and I, we're going to do a music video there. So stay tuned for that. There's only a few tickets left for this VIP trip to the Holy Land at the King David Hotel. It is time for Bo Polny and Andrew Sorchini once again. Hi guys, welcome to the world we're in. Amazing times.
Yeah, yes. We are. This is July. This is summertime. We've got that prophetic word from Kim Clement, strange July. We've got 10, 11, 12 days left in July. So we see what happens. But my goodness, there is a lot of changes.
Yeah, we're seeing the world. We're seeing, I only got a little sneak preview of this whistleblower today, but you have FBI whistleblower and an IRS whistleblower coming out, confirming the stories. The whole house of cards is coming down left and right. Truth is coming. We see the financial market. I'm told from a source today, I told you before we came on, he thinks silver will get to 500. 500. I said, are you sure? Yeah. And he's a financial guy. He says, yes, it is. They can't hold it back any longer.
Right. That's like we talked the day Andrew goes to the beach. I expect silver to do a 3x, 3-time move. So 300%, that would take between $60 to $70 in a single day from where it is right now. So, when it goes, it's just going to take off, and the dealers will not know what to do. Is this going to be this big void of, what do we do? And then the people who didn't buy were like, how do I get it? But unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get it because Andrew's not going to be selling, and neither is anybody else on the internet, just because they don't know what to purchase it for, what to sell it for, and then what their buyback prices are going to be. So it's going to be very, very crazy. But really, what I can start this whole talk on is all of this is going to happen because the United States, as we know it, is going to fall. Okay, and it's very important to understand this. But remember, the United States, that 1776, one nation under God, all men are created equal. Okay, that entire understanding that we have is wonderful. We're a covenant nation, but it's so important to understand that we're captured. We're captured by evil. Every aspect of the United States is fully captured, fully controlled. It all started 50 years ago when Nixon took us off the gold standard. They've been creating money out of thin air. The money system is a fraud. And so the most important thing to understand is when this event happens, it's going to be scary for a lot of people who didn't prepare and don't know what's coming. But on the other side of it, those that have been listening to us, we don't want to give advice to people, tell them what to do, but just I'm talking from a biblical perspective. It says in Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. When God flips the financial tables, just like what Jesus did in the temple, everything you understand financially will change forever. And that's about to happen because the money system that the world uses is corrupt. It's not attached to gold. It's not attached to silver. They click a button and they create zeros. Yep. And they've kept expanding the money system, and now it's a complete fraud. And the problem is that when you find out Caesar's got no clothes, everything changes overnight. And that is the prophetic word. This thing's going to go down overnight. You're going to go to bed one way and wake up with a whole new understanding, or trying to figure out what the heck just happened, because it is going to be that quick when this manifests. And I'll leave it at this. The last time we talked, the end of June, summer solstice, things were supposed to begin to manifest. Well, again, what happened? Summer solstice. This is incredible. But literally the first day of summer, an incredible turning point where for 2, 3, 4 years, the current jackal in office has been denying the fact, completely denying that he has no attachment to his son's business dealings. And remember, God operates in his times and in his seasons. Yep. So the season of summer began, and on that day, the first day, Biden finally was linked to China through a text that literally said from his son, I am sitting here with my father when they're doing a shakedown on China. So the connection's made, and from that day forward, we're in a massive, massive worldwide turn now. And now, you just referenced more and more whistleblowers are coming out. Why? Because we're in the turn. So from the end of June, as the summer began, it's like, God took his hand and reached onto a steering wheel of a massive ship, and he turned it. And so this ship is turning from good to glory. I mean, from evil to glory.
And you're saying that, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I got enough of it. Just started about 1:30 Eastern. And so far, the two whistleblowers, it is damaging information that they're coming out. The respected people that have no axe to grind. And an FBI, John Solomon reported yesterday, an FBI whistleblower has come forward to echo what they're saying to be true. It's amazing times, Andrew, that we're living in. The exposure is coming, and we're going to see that moment we've been talking about.
It absolutely is. We're in the midst of a financial revolution, and who we have in power here at the United States is going to be key to us being able to survive this, and with some resemblance of what we're used to. I think that it is a given that there's going to be a shift. We're probably going to electronic payments, probably based on some sort of central bank digital currency that's gold backed. If we're going to go that route, as Bo pointed out on the last interview that we had, even if it's tied in at 1/100th per each, whatever it ends up being, crypto dollar or whatever it ends up being, that would make the gold and silver that exists out there physically skyrocket in value. It really could happen almost overnight. And we don't want people to go out and take mortgages out on their homes to invest in gold and silver, but pull out what you can, not out of your home, but just a small part of your savings, a small part of your retirement, whatever you're comfortable with, and use it to try to secure your future with physical gold and silver, which is really the world's only true money for thousands of years.
Yeah. So what are you seeing from people? Is there a sense of urgency that you're seeing for people to get into silver and gold?
I think for the people with the larger net worth, they're actually moving with that sense of urgency. And I think that that's what we need to follow. July is typically a big travel month, but for the last 3 years, it has not been. Even though we could travel last July, there were a lot of people out there that were afraid, fresh out of COVID. They were like, I don't think I'm ready to travel yet. But we're seeing so many of our clients travel. They're making purchases and they're saying, okay, please don't deliver it until this date because I'll be traveling. Other people that intend to make purchases are waiting until they get back. So we're seeing like a little bit of calm before the storm. So for anybody out there that's listening to this interview, you actually have a great opportunity to reach out to us and get a fast response, number one. Number two, the premiums for gold and silver are very, very low right now. And they shouldn't be, because silver has eclipsed the $25 mark, and it was about $26, or I guess a few weeks ago, and then it shot down all the way to like $22. It wasn't looking good. And then somehow over the last few days, it just snuck up over 25, and it's at like $25.23. And before the interview, Bo and I were talking about some technical reasons. Actually, Bo was telling me about some technical reasons of why this would be a good entry. Maybe Bo can share that with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, a couple of points I wanted to bring up. First off, if your staff can click on page 25, I want to talk about the importance of some scriptures, because basically, if we're going to talk, these are biblical times we're living in. So let's reference some scriptures. And it's interesting that it's not even interesting, it's incredible. It's by design, as Pastor Dave and I talk, because there are no coincidences. That's right. You can't use that word, because when God designs everything, it just works out perfectly. So it was last year in June, we found out that Roe v. Wade, first off, I knew that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, and fascinating enough, it ended up actually happening, on a biblical time point, or actually on a biblical scripture and time point, because when you read Haggai 1, it literally talks about the 24th day of the 6th month of the 2nd year. So Haggai 1 described 2,000 years ago, when it was written, the day Roe v. Wade would be overturned. So why am I making an issue of that? Well, rather interesting, because if Haggai's playing into end times, so let's go to page 18. Let's go to page 15. Page 15 actually talks about Haggai also. This is Haggai 2, Pastor Dave. In the 7th month. We're in the 7th month, aren't we? So again, does something happen based on Haggai 2, as I'm going to read here? I do not know, but I do know that we're living in very important biblical time points, and we're looking for something historic to start to manifest here with silver and gold. So what does Haggai 2 say? In the 7th month, July, on the 21st day, in 2 days from now, of the month, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Haggai. And it says, and be strong, for I am with you, declares the Lord of hosts, according to the covenant I made with you. Interesting, because doesn't the United States have a covenant with the Creator, just like Israel? Who are the two covenant nations? Israel and the United States. So basically, we're reading Haggai 2 that talks about a covenant the Lord made with us. Interesting. My spirit remains in your midst. Fear not, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once more I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land. I will shake all nations, so that the treasures of all nations shall come in, and I will fill the house with glory. So does something start in 2 days from now? I don't know. But I find it fascinating that if you click on page 13, the angel of death, and you read about page 13 actually describes Exodus, in Exodus 12, describes how God revealed to Moses how you're supposed to prepare for Passover. And the time window that's written in Exodus is from the 14th to the 21st of the month. Interesting. So again, I'm not saying anything's supposed to happen in the next couple of days, but I do know that the Kim Clement prophecy talked about strange July, right? And then I do also know, if you click on my page 7, from the biblical calculations of Daniel 12, verse 7, it talks about from June 25 to August 9th, there's a 45-day window, which is scriptural and out of the Bible. That 45-day window, which is in Daniel's timeline, would take us from June 25 to August 9th. And coincidentally, which there aren't any, it mirrors and it exactly correlates with the words of Kim Clement. Summer will be the mediator between spring, which is now ended, and fall, so that the fall can do its work in America. So how fascinating is all of this coming together? And then on page 9, I think you both will appreciate this, because you both know what's called a Shemitah. You both know we've talked about what's called a Jubilee. All right. And I think Andrew's going to really appreciate this, because you can kind of confirm all this. Pastor Dave and Andrew, we know that in January of 1973, Roe v. Wade became law. So basically, we decided as a nation founded under God to kill the Creator's creation. Talk about having the Creator upset at you. Okay. Absolutely. So now God's upset at us as of 73. Now, Andrew, check this out. So there's a thing called a Shemitah. Every 7 years, you'll have a market event. Okay. So in 1980, the hard recession began. 7 years later, stock market crash in 87. 7 years later, the bond market crash in 94. 7 years later, the stock market crash, coupled with 9/11. 7 years later, 2008, the housing bubble crash. 7 years later, 2015, Black Monday on August 24th. 7 years later, which was last year, Roe v. Wade was overturned. So then that leads us to 1 + 1 year would be year 50, which is
Jubilee.
Now.
Yep.
So what does Leviticus say? Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. Now, the fascinating part is all of these crashes, almost all of them began on Elul 29. That's a biblical date. So Elul 29 this year is September 15th. So whatever, if anything happens this July into August, that we are the first window of time, that 45-day window, it's going to be only a foreshadowing, a prelude to what God would likely do or potentially do between September 15th, Elul 29, based on history, based on 50 years of history. Elul 29 would start September 15th of this year. And then if you can have a step, please click on page 17, because that takes us to Yom Kippur, because we know from Elul 29, Pastor Dave, you have 10 days of awe, which then takes you into the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, which this year is September 25. And what does it say about Yom Kippur? Sound the trumpet. Sound the shofar on Yom Kippur, which this year is September 25, and proclaim liberty throughout the land. It shall be a jubilee for you. So proclaim liberty. I'm going to repeat that. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. My point is, those who haven't listened to us, if this thing starts this summer with July, because Kim Clement prophesied the wealth transfer starts in July. So something's imminent. And whatever's going to, whether it's now, July, whether it's August, whether it's September, We're in the 50-year Jubilee. I just want to be so clear. We've talked over and over on this podcast about 25 being the line in the sand. When silver starts to take out 25, remember, look what happened last time. Andrew said it.
Yep.
It went 25, it touched 26, and they slammed it down, right? Why? They can't let silver be above 25 touching 26. That is that's D-Day for them. They can't have it break through that, because if it breaks through 25, especially 26, they know the computer algorithms are going to automatically flip to a buy, and everything's going to cause it to go vertical, so they can't let it happen. So they fight tooth and nail every time it comes anywhere near that 25, 26 level, because they cannot have silver worth anything. If silver goes to $50, $100 an ounce, in other words, if silver becomes worth something large, this is critical. Their fiat money becomes worth less. And that's what's ultimately going to happen. The US dollars are going to become worthless, worth less, worth less. And then by the end of this decade, 27, 28, 29, whatever, by the end of this decade, it's going to be worthless. I mean zero. Why? Because it's a fraud. They create it out of thin air. It has no attachment. So when Babylon falls, Babylon by definition will be the collapse of the US dollar, the fall of the world reserve currency. Other countries of the world will not accept the US dollar as payment. But you know what they will accept? Gold.
Yep.
You know what they will accept? Silver. You know what they will accept? Cryptocurrencies. Why? Because they're not created out of thin air. And so when the world wakes up to the system was a scam and people have been lied to, it's going to change overnight. And so I've given you some really important time windows. You got the 45-day window right here that we're sitting in right now into the first week of August. We got Haggai 2 literally talking about 2 days from now. Does something happen? No clue. I have no idea. I'm just reading scripture to you. Okay? But it was interesting that Haggai 1 predicted the day Roe v. Wade would be overturned. What's next? Haggai 2. I don't know. All I found is the word interesting. And then we got Elul 29 into Yom Kippur. I'm just telling you, and then flat out, if God does nothing before speaking through his servants, the prophets. I did an interview yesterday with Julie Green. We spoke about it. I know you talk regularly with Julie Green.
Yep.
The prophets have spoken, and that's not only Julie. Ken Crispin, Robin Bullock. You can just go on, have spoken that wealth transfer. The prophets, 4 or 5 of them have spoken wealth transfer, and they're all speaking the same word, but it comes from the same source.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
God is speaking through his prophets wealth transfer. And when God intervenes, this will be the greatest financial event in human history. We're talking $500 silver is going to be only a step 1 before it gets to 1,000, then goes to 2,000, and then ultimately goes potentially priceless or goes to par with gold. Okay, so 500 is only a stepping stone. Why? Because $1 million, you take 1,000 million is a billion. 1,000 billion is a trillion. 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion. If you wanted to count seconds just to a trillion, it would take you, I think, 33,000 years.
I know, that's just amazing math. You can't wrap your mind around that. And to your point, Bo, all these dates that you put under the Shemitah and Roe v. Wade, that was echoed exactly by Rabbi Jonathan Cahn. You know that Rabbi Jonathan Cahn ended his book, Return of the Gods, exactly the day Roe v. Wade came out. He did not plan that at all. It like you said, coincidence. Coincidence is not a kosher word. God's timing is absolute.
Well, and think about what a coincidence is. Okay, so if God the Creator wrote the end from the beginning, he designed the future, right? Just think about it. He designed the future. So when things happen to happen perfectly on exact dates, It's because it's by design. And so when you get to like June 24th and Roe v. Wade's overturned and it's scripturally written in Haggai 1, it was because it was written that way by design. And then when the world finally reached June 24th of 2022, by design, we get to that date, well, then Roe v. Wade's overturned. See, God wrote the end from the beginning. And you know that to be a fact because the very simple scripture is, go read Daniel 2 prophecy. Mm-hmm. Daniel 2 interpreted the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. And then the dream interpretation, which is given to him because he gave all the glory to God, he interpreted the next 2,500 years.
Yep.
And every piece of that prophecy of 2,500 years, every kingdom, it wasn't a prophecy of people. No, it was kingdoms. Rome, Persia, Greece, like kingdoms all existed. Every single one. And the only piece, because that prophecy is still unfully fulfilled.
Right.
Because the last piece of it is Daniel 2, verse 34. And it says, and a stone, so while you were watching, a stone, who is a stone? Jesus Christ, right? Mm-hmm. A stone carved out by no human hand comes in and destroys that Babylonian statue. But the statue itself today is not a statue, okay? It's because it's morphed into what's called a mystery Babylon, right? And what's the mystery is the puppet masters. And so they pull the purse strings of everybody they've paid off, right, with this money system. So they pull this string and they control that person. They can pull that string, they control that person. They pull this string and that person says that. They pull this string, that person says that. And that's why all the media and they all have talking points. And so all of it's meshed and networked and controlled by a syndicate that basically can create money out of thin air to infinity. And so they've done that. And then now when the world finds out the truth, like, what does it say about, pride cometh before the fall? Well, so pride was June, and the fall would technically be, July or August, where it all maybe starts here, right? Because pride comes before the fall, and summer, as we stepped into it, is the mediator. But summer basically brings on the longest day of the year because it's summer solstice. And then what does light do to darkness? It exposes the deals done in the dark. So when the deals and like these whistleblowers we just referenced, yep, when they come out and start speaking, at some point, more and more whistleblowers are going to keep coming out, which we're seeing right now, and it's more damning and damning and damning. But even so, they're still. This is like we were damming, right? It's like this is a dam, and every time a whistleblower comes out, it's like a hole breaks out in that dam, the water starts to leak. And so what they do, remember, this is a worldwide syndicate of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that basically all sold their soul to Satan. And they keep sticking their fingers in this dam, okay? And they will keep doing that. Like they're going to keep sticking their fingers in this dam to not let that dam break, okay? And this is the point. Back to Daniel 2, verse 34. While you are watching, a stone carved out by no human hand. So God the Father, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, the stone is going to destroy. It's going to literally level. It's going to smash that dam. And then it's game over. And so they will not let that dam break, because if that dam breaks, they know they're finished.
Exactly.
And so it's going to be this is God's battle. Why? Because this is no different than what happened at the Red Sea. Whose battle was it, Pastor Dave, at the Red Sea? What did Moses say?
It's God's.
Stand still.
Yep.
Watch the salvation of the Lord, for he will work for you today. So a worldwide syndicate controls everything in this world. Everything. It's all captured. And this is the moment in time where God is going to intervene as we are now in the 45-day window.
And speaking of 45,
as we head into the Elul 29 and Yom Kippur. Continue. Sorry, David.
Yeah, and speaking of 45, that's why they're coming after President Trump with everything they got, because they cannot let him get back in office. That's why you see this complete witch hunt with Jack Smith and January 6th to indict him. You know what? It's going to boomerang. God has it, and it's going to be a time that God parts the Red Sea. That Red Sea moment is imminent. I feel it. The last 24 hours, I felt this sense of a second wind. I felt this sense of light coming. And 4 or 5 weeks, I've gone through it's been dark. It's been heavy. It's been a spiritual battle. But this last 24 hours, God is ready to create and show his glory and his light. I'm excited.
Yeah, and that's like Andrew and I
as
was
well.
talking before, prior to this, was that if you, those who understand charting on silver, this is really important, because if you look back, 10, 11 years, you'll see that silver dropped, when it went to $50, it dropped and dropped. Three times it bounced off $26, and then finally in 2013 it plunged through it. And so that 26 mark has been like so critically important for silver. So it's interesting that the chart patterns are all indicating that, and we're at that 20 right today we're talking, it's 25.15 or something on silver.
Yes.
So it's above 25. It's just barely battling at that 25, 26. And so all I know is that when this moment in time happens, do expect a minimum of a 3x, 300%, so potentially $60 to $70 in a single day. And that's only the start. So that will be the breaking of the dam. So actually, like, a little thing I have, look, the day you see silver blow vertical is the day you witnessed evil lose control, because that's the day God intervened. So something is so imminent.
There's no doubt that something is imminent. I'll let Andrew take this before I do, but the whistleblowers, you haven't heard all the public ones. I see them coming up, and they're being more brazen. This whole floodgate is just so close to just coming wide open. I'll let you take it.
Absolutely is. Yeah, something's brewing. It's like here in California in comparison. Where I live, like not too far from here, they've had like landslides where like a dozen homes have like fallen down the hill. We're heading into fire season. We have earthquakes, and it's like how you can protect yourself and your family is through insurance. Take a look at the measures that you have in place, emergency routes, and how you can protect your family if you have this type of issue. In that same regard, with what we're seeing happen a year and a half before the election, is when people do need to take a look at their finances and definitely look at it from an insurance point of view and figure out how you can best protect your family through the storm. Because typically in the final year of an election year, there's so much uncertainty that people get scared. When they get scared, they want to beef up their security. They want to up their insurance, and they do that by investing in gold and silver until they can find out who the new president is. And I think that it's very clear that for this election that we're not going to have the same president that we have now. So it's almost certain, and that creates so much uncertainty of not knowing who it's going to be. We hope it's 45, but we need to bridge the gap from here till then. And the way to do it is to invest into gold and silver, have some tangible assets, because the prospect of having a different president than we have now could send all of the markets into a wild period where even Bo says that the stocks could be good for the rest of the year, but not past December. And it could be just a mega crash in December. And you don't want to ride that up too close to December because you're not a market professional. You don't know. It's best to just exit the market with whatever profits you can now and buy gold now. Definitely.
Did you hear what Dan Bongino said twice last week? He went on 2 rants. He's just saying, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I'm telling you, I've done, meaning Dan Bongino, I've put the dots together. The government is not telling us everything. And you better get your house in order, your finances in order, your water and food, and just be protected.
Exactly.
Well,
And go ahead, Bob.
Oh no, so to touch base on the stock market, and this is the thing, right? This is so important if you understand the market itself. You see, if the dollar, because if what we're talking about is precious metals, if silver and gold blow vertical, if they take off vertical, then when the day we see a biblical intervention and you see an explosion in the price of gold and silver, it's because why? It's because the dollar lost it was suddenly devalued. It maybe suddenly lost the status of the world reserve currency, which I think is going to happen. Okay, so if that event suddenly happens, that potentially might be a 24-hour, 30% devaluation of the U.S. dollar. And so that example, immediately, anything priced in the U.S. dollar becomes worth that much less, so 30% less overnight. So the stock market could go up to 100,000 50,000 on the Dow, it doesn't matter, because when you sell it, you're selling it into a dollar that was devalued and is no longer the world reserve currency. You see, so people who want to continue playing the game of, holding their money in the stock market, the problem that they've got is when the truth comes out that the dollars are fraud, it doesn't matter what the stock market goes to, because you always got to sell it into a currency that nobody wants. And so that's the day everything changes. So even if the stock market goes up, that's fine. You might be on digits, maybe have some more value, but good luck. I guarantee you probably will not be able to buy or get your hands on any precious metals, because the prices are going to be so astronomical. And the moment the world finds out that, the only real asset, the only real tangible asset is God's money, silver and gold, it's going to fly off the shelf so fast, and then you'll never be able to buy it in quantity. You're never going to say, hey, Andrew, can you send me like, here, I have like X amount of money. Can you fill that order? And it's going to say, well, I've got this many pieces I can sell you, but that's all I got. That's what you're going to be getting, because if he doesn't have it, how's he going to sell it to you? That's the problem. And when the fury started, when think about it, you know this true. When in 2011 and 2010, remember when then silver went from like the $10 or $15 and shot up to $50? Remember that, Andrew?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As a dealer, you didn't have any inventory. People would call you, I want a silver and gold. And you're like, well, I got this coin and I got that coin, or I have like 200-ounce silver bars someone just brought in. I can sell you those, right? But tell them about like what it's like in a bull run. What is it like when everybody wants something that you can't have? Explain that to them so they understand, because this is what's coming.
It's coming.
It was a really fun time. So if you roll it back to about 2010, 2011, here's how it would work. I would get a text or a phone call and someone says, I want to buy $50,000 worth of Morgan silver dollars. And I say, okay, great. Can you hold on for a minute? I just need to make one quick call. Put them on hold, pick up another phone, call someone I know up the street, and that is telling his customers that he doesn't have any silver at all. And I'll call him up and say, hey, I remember you had those bags of Morgan dollars back there, and I'm sure you're not selling them. What price would you be willing to let them go at? And then he'll give me a price, and then I come back to the other guy and go, look, it's going to be X dollars per Morgan dollar. So for 50,000, you can get this amount. Do you want them? And they say, yes. I go, great. Come on down, make the payment. Then you an invoice, and then I tell the other guy, okay, lock it in. And I'm doing every deal like that, where I'm more like a broker. And Beverly Hills Precious Metals doesn't operate like that. Most of the other companies out there will just broker deals where you make a purchase from them, then they go out and buy it. With us, we buy everything ahead of time. And we might not have received it yet, and we might have it sold, but we have it paid for before we've actually sold it. And that's a big thing. So what Bo's talking about, we would actually revert to what everyone else is doing, and have to act as a broker. If there's an event like, say, another Black Monday type thing or another Black Friday, we'll sell out of our inventory in one day, like literally one day, like millions of dollars just gone. And we'll also sell everything that's still coming. That will be gone. So
and then
we'll
from that day forward, and then maybe a day later, someone's going to call you, and you're going to say, well, I don't have anything, but the only thing I have maybe that someone just sold me this afternoon was X. I can sell you that. But that's it. Like your inventories, when all of it's gone, it's all gone. And then all you're selling is what people bring in, and they want to maybe cash out. So now you're just playing like the broker. It's all you're doing. There's no more sizable purchases. Like forget about it.
Exactly. And one thing that I've noticed about how a lot of retail works in the post-COVID world is that you have to have a person that helps you with everything, like some sort of like a concierge service. It could even translate even to your doctor. It's like anything. Like, so if I want to buy my wife something for her birthday from Cartier, I'll have the salesperson's phone number, and I'll text them and I'll say, hey, I want to get this piece. Do you have it? And can you set it aside for me? And I can come and pick it up on Saturday. So when there's a big run on anything, what's going to separate you from the masses is that you already have that relationship in place. Therefore, you can get your needs met quicker than others. And maybe that's not fair to the other people. And if you are able to acquire quite a bit of gold and silver, you could in turn help your neighbors acquire some through the relationship that you have with another company as well. So you will need that because when that beach day does come, I might still be answering my phone from the beach, and the calls that I'm going to answer are going to be the people whose names that I know. And it doesn't sound fair, but I'm just being honest. It's I can't answer every call on a day like that. I'll have to let many of them go to voicemail. But if I get a text from Bo or from Pastor Dave or from many of the members of the His Glory family that say, "Hey, I made my last purchase in July of 2022, and I just want to know, is there any silver that you can help me out with?" I will help. And you're going to want to have that relationship from somebody who's honest and that you feel that you.
That's the key. That's the key right there, is the honest, because we haven't seen this bull run that you're talking about. And just like anything, when this run happens, you're going to have all these used, unethical people come out of the woodwork and sell you junk. And you're going to think you made a good deal, and you take it back and you scrape it back and like, oh, wait, that's not silver. That's not gold.
Well, because during a massive bull run, it's very hard to get real good product, because most of the people that that have product are not selling. Okay, because they know that they've invested for that moment in time, so they're not interested in selling when this thing's going crazy, because they know it's going to keep going higher, and they're actually right in the scenario, because this is going to be the greatest bull market in human history. When this thing goes, this is going to be it's going to go to 100. Like, some people will cash out at 100, but like you just said, one of your people is actually talking about $500 silver. The point is, and that's going to be only a stepping stone of because that's only 30-fold blessings. That's what's written in Matthew. Matthew's blessings are 30, 60, and 100-fold, right? And so this is just going to be one of the greatest events in human history, and it's going to be in a bull market like this. What's coming? It's going to be very hard to get product. Secondly, when you do get your hands on product, and Andrew's going to say, I can get you this, I might have these few bars I can sell you, but then on top of that, the spread's going to be crazy. So silver might be $200 an ounce, but you might have to pay another $100 just to have it delivered to you, because the dealers are charging $100 over spot just to get you the product in your hand, because it becomes real money. It just becomes the money. And actually, if your staff can pop on page 59, this just shows you, page 59 shows you clearly the entire financial system is based on gold. Like, when the whole system falls over, all that's left is gold and silver, period. It's real money. It's been money for 5,000 years. So everything else is just well, technically it's a fraud, but basically the money that we're using right now is balanced on gold and silver. So when the financial tables flip, everything is going to change, and it's going to revert back to what? Honest money, honest ledger, gold, silver, and ultimately cryptocurrencies as well for distance transactions. But gold and silver are going to be the biggest stores of value. And Andrew was talking about insurance policy. Why is silver and gold insurance policy? Because when the financial tables get exposed that they're fake, and what's been going on, you've got gold and silver. Gold and silver is going to explode in value, and it will insure your finances. And so again, Andrew and I talk about this regularly. Some people cannot afford gold and silver, and we understand that, because why? Satan stole our inheritance.
Yep.
So a lot of people don't have the financial means. I get it, okay? Many people have been there or are there, okay? The point is, when God blesses, he multiplies. So those that do have financial means, there are many people, in the church that have financial means, they are going to bless all of those around them. Why? Because it's better to give than to receive. And so this wealth transfer is going to be for the church.
It is.
It's going to be incredible.
The true church, the remnant church that is sold out for him, for his glory. Yep. Because that's what it was all about. You used that, Haggai. The word glory there in Hebrew is kabod or kavod. You can say it either way. That literally means his essence, his glory.
Actually, let's go back to Haggai, because we talked Haggai 1 for Roe v. Wade. Haggai 2 was for potentially July here, maybe into August, whatever. And then Haggai 2 verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. Haggai 2:9 says, we're going to be the latter rain will be greater than the former.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? How awesome is this? And all of it's in Haggai. So I'm just telling you, Haggai could be very, very important here.
Yeah, that Haggai is clearly talking about an event that has not happened yet, and we're walking into that event right before our very eyes. I'll let you guys quickly close out as we've wrapped up. I don't know how an hour goes by this fast.
We're all very passionate about what we're talking about. So speaking of passion, if you're passionate about figuring out a way to protect everything that you've worked for financially, reach out to us. Go to our website, bh-pm.com. Right on the homepage, there's a form. Put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. Say that His Glory sent you. And then there's a section for notes down below. And if, let's say, you want to learn how to roll over a retirement account into one that holds gold and silver and be able to do it without it being a taxable event, then put that right in there. Whatever notes you put in that little box will help me get you to the person here that can help you the best. So I hope to hear from you.
Yeah, I can finish on this. First off, if you're going to be investing in precious metals, again, I don't want to give it financial advice. None of us do. The bottom line is, this is a personal decision. What do you feel in your heart? Do you feel everything's messed up? Because if it really is, if you feel the financial system there's something wrong with it, if you feel what's going on in the world is completely evil and corrupt, then maybe you need an insurance policy, period. And all I want you to know is that you need to make sure that this is an important time. You need to get it if someone's going to get it to you, okay? And so you can't be buying it from people who are going to maybe ship it to you, might get it to you at some point in the future. This is not a point to be waiting around in time. So, this isn't a point of urgency here. This is a very important time point to be doing something to protect you and your family financially, if you can. Some people can't. And the other thing is, before even all that, know that God's got this. God wrote the end from the beginning, okay? He's going to protect his church. He's not going to forsake us, period. So know that God's got this. God is in control, regardless of how ugly it looks. And it's about what happened here with the United States as the United States falls now into September. Something's about to go here, but fear not. And lastly, be prepared. Have some food, have some water at home. Why? Because then when things do happen, you don't need to run anywhere. You've got everything you need. So just know that God's in control. God's got this, and God bless everybody. Thank you all for being here.
Worst case scenarios, you have extra of something. But the most important thing is trust God. We've been talking for about a year and a half, and all these things we talked about are coming into play right before our very eyes. It gets darker, but it's always dark before the light comes on, and light is coming. Because light wins. All right, that ends today. God bless you, and go into shalom. You know that light wins. God bless you all.